Wish you were here. I thought it was wonderful,
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks so much.
We're proud. We're really proud of it.
as you should be. Yeah, I loved your performances, and I know Gabby. I understand you were also a producer, and Isabel, you were an EP on the film. So I was curious. I know Julia Stiles this time not in front of the camera. That instead a writer producer. So I was curious what it was like working with her in these producer roles behind the lens. Must have been somewhat of a unique experience seeing her, having watched her films over the years, I
Yeah,
imagine.
definitely. I had read the book back in 2016 and initially was just so taken aback by this story. I knew it needed to be told and I knew it was going to transcend onto the big screen in a magnificent way. And I, courted Renee Carlino, the author, for a couple of years until she finally agreed to meeting this stranger who was DMing her on Instagram. And, when she agreed to it after some rosé, I had then started to daydream about who would be the perfect filmmaker for this story, who can really bring the heart of it to life. And Julia just immediately came to mind. And bringing her on and supporting her to go from actor to director it's been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life thus far. And she did such a phenomenal job and I'm just like, I knew it.
And what about you, Isabel?
Well,
Working.
I felt like Julia, from the get-go when she sent me the script, she was like, I really hope you would consider playing Charlotte because I'd love for you to do a movie and for the world to get to know you the way that I've gotten to know you, working together on Orphan. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I was really touched by that because I think it's very common in this industry where you will work in a certain genre and people will only consider you for that genre. And I really appreciated that she wanted to, take me out of my comfort zone and put me in a romance movie, like the movies that I was geeking out and telling her that I grew up watching, which all starred her. And and then on a creative standpoint, as an EP, I just felt like we discussed a lot of everything from like costumes and creative choices, and I got to spend more time with Gabby, which Gabby and I fell in love making this movie. And when she was bringing people on and casting, I remember like she was like, I really feel like Mena Massoud would be the best person to play Adam. And I was like, oh my gosh, it'd be amazing. And then we got, I felt like my EP work on this movie was really just collaborating and talking with her and, getting to know everybody and working on that and that end. I mean, I'm very lucky that I got to learn from Gabby and Molly and our other producers, as well as, Julia, how this is all done. I want to make that transition to directing as well. And a lot of this was like a big experience for me.
Yeah, you
Very.
will. I'll be right there with the next book.
Yeah, there you go. And Mina and Isabel, I loved your chemistry and your dynamic, and no spoilers, of course, but I love that first act, the overnight that you have together. And I was curious, behind the scenes, tackling that first chunk, was it tricky? Like, having read the script, maybe read the book, and what's going to happen. I mean, did that make that first part particularly challenging to pull off? Like knowing what's to come, knowing what's going to happen, but still but remaining in the moment kind of thing. Was that particularly challenging?
I think a couple of things are hard. For one, with indie films, you don't have a lot of time. I think that was the first thing we shot because of my hair, and I had to keep my
We filmed a
hair.
lot in
Oh
Orlando,
yeah.
to be
So that
honest.
that was the first thing we shot. When they're laying in bed together the next morning, like that was I think that was the first thing
It
we
was,
shot.
yeah. We filmed the after
Yeah.
before we filmed the before.
So that's tricky, but also the convincing yourself of not knowing is tricky, right? Like Charlotte doesn't know what's going on. He knows it inside, but he also doesn't know where things are gonna go. Like I like to think that Adam, um, you know, he meets girls often, and before he's going through this thing in his life, he he has a good time, but he's never felt this connection before. So how do you portray that but make it feel real? And it was really easy with Isabelle. You know, we had spent just a tiny bit of time together in LA. We went out for lunch before we went to Jersey to shoot the film. And you know, within a scene or two of filming with her, I knew it was going to be there, because you can just always tell when you're looking at somebody in the eyes, whether they're there with you or whether they're thinking about something else. So, you know, that's always exciting, figuring that out. And I knew we had it.
We felt very present with each other. I think we also got to know each other as we were filming, you know, in between these scenes that we have, which are scripted, and we're sitting with each other alone in these rooms while they're filming everything. We also have time to talk and get to know each other. And I felt like our relationship progressed throughout the movie. And as I mentioned, we kind of filmed a lot of it in order because Mena was losing weight for the role and he shaved his head. And so those things were all things that we were taking into account. And then, you know, that specific date, you know, there were that, you know, scene in general, when I read the book, when I read the script, was like such an important thing for it to come across that these people have this like connection. And the truth was, it felt really playful. And we also didn't have much time. So it was like, you know, we were grabbing shots where we could. And also, I don't know if you remember this, but independent film, we were filming at a place where there was a wedding happening, like literally right, like on the other side of the wall on this room that we were filming, there was like a full-on wedding happening. And
so we were stealing shots when we could.
Yeah.
when the music was off and when they were making speeches and stuff, and like, you know, it just, I think it brought a levity to it because we knew that there was a lot of that wasn't going to have dialogue over it. So, you know, we were just sitting and eating noodles and like laughing and dancing and playing with different things. And I think that came across because we were kind of navigating this, you know, new friendship at the same time that these characters were getting to know each other.
Of course. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, in indie film rocks. So I love the end result, and it all worked out. So that's great. And Isabelle, you know, as you probably know, this is our third time chatting. So it's great to see you again. Yeah, and last time we spoke was for Horizon, which I loved, and I can't wait to see part 2. So I just wanted to ask if you're able to share anything about what's to come with the second installment. And I loved your character Diamond, so can't wait to see what happens next with her.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more of her in the second film. I'm really grateful we got to premiere at Venice, and I think they're just, you know, tacking up the horses and figuring out where they want to lead them. So I'm not involved in that in like any capacity other than as an actor, and usually I'm the last person to know anything. But I'm really grateful for those films, and I'm very proud of them. So I can't wait.
I love the pun, the horse pun.
Yeah.
But bump.
Yeah, that's great. Well, cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And yeah, you mentioned Orphan with Julia Stiles. I saw you're signed on for the third one. I'm sure you're excited. Sounds like maybe it's in pre-production at the moment. So
all I know is the script is great, so I'm excited for everybody. But I'm really happy that we get to share this film this week because, like, you know, I feel like with so much going on in the world, this movie is such a it's a type of movie you can watch over and over. It's a type of movie, Mena said this, you can just go in the theater and like release and cry and let things out. But it's also a movie about hope and love and the love that you have in your life and being grateful for the people in your life and also the hope of moving forward past something that you feel like you won't be able to get through. So I really feel like this movie resonates with what's going on in the world, and I really hope people see it and love it as much as we do and are so proud of it.
Of course, yeah, I'm in LA at the moment, so yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think we could really use a movie like this. So well said. It'll be a good escape. And then I would love to hear from each of you. I mean, leading up to this, is there a favorite Julia Stiles movie of yours? Something maybe you grew up loving, if you had to choose.
10 Things I Hate About You. One of the first questions I asked Julia was like, what was it like kissing Heath Ledger? And she was like, you should no kiss and tell. But that's like my favorite movie of all time. Top 3 favorite, hands down.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, same. 10 Things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really love her action in the Bourne series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just because it's one of those things where you grow up watching somebody do all these like romance films, and you're like, gosh, she's such a badass. And Julia really is such a badass. I feel like that. Yeah. But I would say 10 things I hate about you, but just to give a little bit more of a different answer.
Or like randomly, Prince and Me.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was one time we were walking in Brooklyn. This was maybe 5 years ago, and someone stopped her and was like, "Are you the actress from The Prince and Me?" And she was like, "Yeah, of all the movies and the films that I've done." And she was so surprised. I was like, "I love that film. I don't blame this woman
Yeah.
for saying that." It's a really good one.
Yeah,
I
of
haven't
course.
seen that one in a while. I'm gonna have to watch that one now again.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It's great.
Or Silver Linings. I mean, I know she plays the sister, but she's so good.
She's so
Mhm.
good in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's so good in that.
Basically every film Julia has ever been in.
Yeah,
I love them all.
of course. I agree. I have to wrap now, but Mina, I just wanted to ask, I loved you in Aladdin. I'm a Disney junkie. Would you ever return to that role in some capacity? They did all those animated sequels. If they were ever to do a live action sequel, would you ever welcome the opportunity?
Yeah, 100%, man. That was such a fantastic experience, and I grew up on that film, the animated version. So I'm
Right.
glad we could do it, and I'm glad people loved it, and yeah, it'd be great. I
Yeah.
think there is opportunity to do one when Aladdin and Jasmine are a little older. Maybe they have kids. That was something we actually talked us to, doing when they were talking about a sequel. So it can still happen. We'll see. I'd love it.
I'd
I
love it.
hope
My
so
nephews
too.
would love it too.
Yeah, exactly. I would too.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, thank you, everyone. And in the meantime, congratulations on Wish You Were Here. I can't wait for everyone else to see it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Will.
Will.
Thank you.